You've been driving for Uber and Lyft for hours, maybe days, maybe years, and you've heard the standard advice all about how you can get more tips. But what if I told you everything you know about tipping or tipping advice is preventing you from earning more money? Because today I'm revealing the uncomfortable truths, the secrets, the strategies that Uber and Lyft doesn't want you to know, and they will change your earnings forever. In this video, I'll go over the following tips and strategies.
Tip 26, the subtle hardship strategy and the guilt trip with a smile.
Tip 27, managing expectations and how to encourage a surprise bonus.
Tip 28, the tipping leprechaun detector and who probably isn't a tipper.
Tip 29, the I'll tip you in the app lie and the I appreciate you lies.
Tip 30, the elephant in the room. Does Uber steal our tips?
And stick around till the end because I got 5 more bonus tips for you, including how to turn a short Uber airport ride into a queue jumping hacking trick that I learned by accident. A short story how I got double tips. Yes, a $32 ride, the lady ended up giving me $100 in tips. Well, you gotta wait till the end of the video or when I get to the bonus tips to find out about them. What's up, Fuber family? If you're joining this ride for the first time, I am Uncle Fuber. And if you are serious about earning more with Uber and Lyft, you came to the right place, the perfect channel. With over 7 years of experience and 16,000 passengers that I've given rides to, I've seen it all and I'm sharing my wisdom with you for free. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, it'll be linked in the description down below, and I'll also put it in the info card. Make sure you check it out because we're on part 3 of the tip series. There's probably a part 4 coming too.
Tip 26, the subtle hardship strategy and the guilt trip with a smile.
The following tip is from Uncle Mark, a Fuber goat, or one of the Fuber goats from our WhatsApp community. This dude drives a Prius, makes over $300 a day driving in San Diego, and almost gets 75% in tips. Just last week, he made over $2,000 in 5 or 6 days of driving. He uses the Lyft Elite program and reservations, and he's one of the Fuber goats because we got 3 Fuber goats in San Diego and they all average over $300 a day. But today we're going to talk about what Uncle Mark has to say about tips. Now, when an Uber passenger inevitably will ask you a question something like this: how much does Uber actually pay you as a driver? Or do drivers make enough money driving for Uber? This is your time to shine with the subtle hardship strategy. Now, the goal here is not to whine and complain and be negative about Uber. You're a professional after all, even though Uber and Lyft tend to forget that. The strategy here is to evoke empathy without literally saying that you just adopted a stray puppy. You definitely don't want to tell them you have multiple sources of income and Uber is just a side hobby for you. That will kill a tip faster than a bad rating. Instead, offer a response something like this: look, I'm out here 7 days a week, often 12 hours a day, just trying to get out of debt and save up for a rainy day. With expenses and repairs, we really have to put in the hours just to make ends meet. See, you're not saying Uber is evil, or at least out loud. You're just a diligent hard worker dealing with some financial challenges. It's about connecting emotionally and pulling on those heartstrings and letting the passenger know that they're really helping a deserving soul. And often this direct communication or hardship response generally can translate into more earnings for you with the tip. Just remember to always keep a smile, stay positive, and let them know you're grinding and you're putting in 80 to 90 hours a week. That's the subtle hardship strategy, right? Evoke emotion from them, let them know you're struggling, and I'm telling you, there's passengers that will connect with you emotionally, and bam, $20, $30, $40, $50 tips will come. That's extra earnings for you.
Tip 27, managing expectations and how to encourage a surprise bonus.
Are you still hoping for a tip on every single ride? Let's talk about managing expectations. If you are expecting a tip from every single passenger, it's like calling Uber support and expecting them to solve your issues every single time. Folks, that's not gonna happen. Uber's customer support is not gonna solve your issue on the first call. While every tip is a gold mine, your goal is to provide excellent customer service. Do your best, work hard, and I can promise you this much. The universe, or God as I like to say it, will figure out a way to balance the scales if you work hard and go above and beyond for your customers. Let me tell you a personal story from driving Uber and my slightly bruised ego. Recently, I got an UberX ride. I don't know, it was paying like $25, so I took it. It was gonna put me in downtown Los Angeles. I said, no problem. I get paid to go that way, even though it's 35 miles, no problem. Right when I show up to pick up the person, there was nobody. There was a guy who had 8 boxes and he wanted to put them in my car. And I asked him, I said, sir, you ordered an UberX. You're using my car as an Uber XL and I don't get compensated for that. I'm barely making $25 on a 35-mile ride. What do you want to do about this? He says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Can I just tip you $30 in the app? Like a dumbass, I said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. That works for me. Thank you for taking care of me. Now that was a rookie mistake because once I dropped them off, where I left the boxes and went above and beyond, there's a lot of traffic. It took about an hour to go there. The people were just looking at me and I was like, oh, something doesn't look right. Then I waited and I waited. No $30 showed up and I was like, this mofo got me. We're not going to repeat this again. Now, earlier I was telling you that God balances it out. Guess what happened? The next day I was driving, a random passenger came in my car, and when they left on a short ride, he gave me $30 cash. Cash tip. The tip that didn't come from the day before, another passenger ended up giving it to me, and that is my point here. Believe in the universe, believe in God. Eventually it will work out. It will balance out. And regarding this passenger with the boxes, I'll come back a little bit later and I'll tell you what happened, because I ended up giving him one of these fingers the next time he asked for a ride. Now, I learned from this mistake and I never allow this to happen again. Let me give you another short story. A couple days later, I got to LAX, a $22 ride popped up. No problem. I went there to pick up the passengers, and there were 6 people once again on a $22 UberX ride. They were trying to smuggle themselves into my car, and I was like, ladies, ma'am, what is going on over here? You ordered an UberX, you got 6 bags, you got 6 people. I'm not getting paid enough for this, so how do you want to take care of this? And they said, oh, we'll tip you, we'll give you extra in the app. Well, I was like, why didn't you order an Uber XL if there's 6 of you, right? And 6 bags. There's no way you're going to fit in an Uber X. And she goes, well, Uber XL was charging $110 and Uber X was only $60. So we decided we'll just go and we'll figure it out. And I said, well, yeah, let's figure it out. I said, the last time the person said they'll tip me in the app, I got nothing. So unless you got cash, you're going to have to cancel this ride and try this strategy with another driver, but it's not going to work with me. And then I just smiled and I just stood there and I just waited. They did a little huddle. They talked to each other and then they came back. They said, okay, fine. We'll give you an extra $10. but I took it because I was like, instead of 22, I get $32, no problem. Because once they get in my car, I'm going to convert them. When they get off their cruise and they're coming back, I'm going to be like, yo, I'll do this for you for $50 and I'll take you all the way to the airport, and they don't even have to depend on Uber anymore. And that is exactly what happened. 22 turned into 32, turned into an extra 50 on the way back. Now, my point with this tip is learn from your mistakes, believe in God, in the universe, and the things will always balance out. And don't expect a tip from your passengers every single time.
Tip 28, the tipping leprechaun detector and who probably isn't a tipper.
Let's talk about the cold truth. There are certain passenger or passenger types that are never going to tip you. I mean, it's a miracle that you get a tip from them. I've briefly explained this in my previous videos, but now I got 4 or 5 brand new ones that I want to tell you. So if you're picking up people like this and you decide to cancel, no harm done, because you're not going to get a tip. And if you're already struggling to take this passenger because Uber's already underpaying you, just pay attention to this. Professional truck drivers, they know the hustle, they know the struggle, but they also know how to keep their wallet shut. The reason why professional truckers generally don't tip you is because the ride is ordered by their boss. The boss is not in the car. 99% you're not going to get a tip because the tariffs are here and the trucking industry is hurting and they're trying to save money. So you get a professional trucker and you'll know. You can smell them in the car. The freaking fly, get out of here. You can smell them in the car. You can know based on the conversation, and where you pick them up is probably going to be near a truck yard where they park their truck. The chances of you getting a tip are very low. So if you're going in an area where you're going to pick up a trucker, you might consider not taking that ride. I cancel on them all the time now. Necessity riders. These are passengers that have to use Uber on a regular basis. For example, they go to college, or maybe their car broke down and they have to use Uber for a little bit to go to work, and every penny counts, right? And they probably ordered an Uber X or Uber Share. The chances of you getting a tip are very low, and it's hard to figure these ones out. The only way I figure these out is because I have a conversation with them. But if you're talking to somebody, they're in the car, and you found out that they're going to work and they take Uber every single day, the chances of you getting a tip are very low. And honestly, there's no way to cancel and get out of this because you don't know until they get in the car and you start having that conversation. Amazon drop-offs. Memorize all the Amazon drop-offs. The street, the area, the city. 99% they're not going to tip you. First of all, they're cheap. Amazon warehouse workers, they're freaking cheap. But having conversations with them over time, I've figured out that the ride sometimes, or over 50-60% of the time, is compensated to them. So they can expense it out, or they use an Amazon account to get the ride. And because of that, Amazon's not going to tip you because Amazon's already working these warehouse workers. And just like Uber, 96% drivers quit after 3 months. Same thing with Amazon. 96% of Amazon warehouse workers, they quit within 3 to 6 months, right? So the chances of you getting a tip on an Amazon ride, it's going to, again, be a miracle. So pay attention to that. If you think you picked up somebody and the drop-off is a street that normally you drop people off for Amazon, it's not worth it, man. Especially if you're taking it as a lower fare, which most of Uber rides these days are, right? There are hardly any rides that are $1 a mile these days. Guest rides. Now, I've talked about this. Sometimes with a guest ride, you can get lucky. But if it says you take the Uber ride and it says guest ride, the chances of you getting tip are very low. You can get lucky once in a while. But if you stick around till the end, I'm going to give you a bonus tip that Uncle John from the WhatsApp community told me.
Did you order an
and
Uber or your friend?
He has a very cool way of you getting a tip from a guest ride. And I couldn't believe I didn't think of that. But I'll tell you that in a little bit. Trip coordinators, medical rides, auto dealership rides, lawyers. These medical rides and lawyer rides and dealership rides, 99% you're not going to get a tip. And you know that. People use Uber all the time from a dealership. You drop them off, or they sold a car, they need a ride back. They're not going to tip you because the dealership ordered a ride. These basically end up showing up in your app like the person or the organization that ordered this ride doesn't want you to go to this address or that address. They only want you to do this. Well, those ones, you're never going to get a tip unless they give you a cash tip. And that's just very rare. Like 90% you're not going to get a tip. So if it says trip coordinator, 99% of the time I cancel that. Or if I take it, I give it a 1-star rating. So I never get that trip coordinator ride again. And the reason being, only time I will take these rides is if I'm going home and it pays me to go home, I will do it, because might as well make some money while I'm sitting in traffic. If you're enjoying the video so far, just give me a boop, give me a like. That helps with the Google algorithm. And let me know in the comments, are there certain professions that you've run into that the chances of you not getting a tip are pretty high? I'm working on my 4th video and probably the final video for this series. And I'll put your comment in there and I'll put your tip in there about which profession it is, because in the last 2 videos, you've commented so much that I decided to make a whole 4th video out of it.
Tip 29, the I'll tip you in the app lie and the I appreciate you lies.
The freaking mosquito got me pretty damn good, dude. While I've been shooting this video, it's like stung me once, twice. Piece of shit. God damn, that was good. God damn, that was good. How many people do you know can kill a mosquito with a slap like that? Right here. Let's talk about the most common phrase that sends shivers down an Uber driver's spine. I will tip you in the app. Or its cousin, I appreciate you. If you ever hear these words, 99% that mofo rider in the car is not gonna give you a single damn dime or penny, right? Now, if you want to get out and help them with the bags, it's on you. But the chances of you getting a tip, 0. This is basically a polite way of the rider to let you know, thank you, sir, for the ride. Now piss off. The only exception to this rule is you will pick up people that are spiritual, that are religious, that are older, and genuinely, I would say 80% of the time you're not going to get a tip, especially from a younger person, right? But if an older person says a comment like that, there is a good chance that you're going to get compensated. Now, remember my earlier story about the $30 or $25 ride I got with UberX, and the guy filled up my car with boxes? Let me tell you what happened with him, because he said that I'll tip you in the app. Perfect time to tell you what happened with him. A couple weeks later, I got a ride from the same location and I showed up, right? But this time, luckily he ordered an Uber XL. So I was getting paid $35 to go 30 miles. So it was a lot better than last time. And he saw me and he turned red, and I didn't say anything. I didn't complain. Because, you know, you got to keep it professional. I took the boxes, I put them in my car. I said, sir, thank you for this opportunity. I gave him my business card, right? Just in case he wants to hire me directly, right? And then when I went and I dropped off the boxes, I gave him a 2-star rating. Not a 1-star rating. Let me tell you why. I gave him a 2-star rating because I want to get his ride again, so the next time I can give him 2 stars again. If I give him a 1-star rating, well, Uber will block him and I'll never be able to give him a ride again. And trust me, I go to that area in San Bernardino by Loma Linda all the time. And this guy has a warehouse. They're always shipping shirts. Next time, another 2 stars. So, once again, God and the universe has a way to balance things out. So my point with this tip is, if you hear, I'll tip you in the app, or I appreciate you, just smile, be professional, say thank you, and just know you're not going to get a tip, right? So if I've already told you and I've already warned you, and when this happens to you, don't let it mess up your ego or mess up your mood or, you know, bring your day down. I already told you, Uncle Fuber already told you, just smile and let it go, right? Because whether people tip you or don't tip you, that should not mess up your mood or your motivation to drive for Uber and Lyft, right? You should still provide excellent customer service.
Tip 30, the elephant in the room. Does Uber steal our tips?
Now let's address the burning question that every Uber driver dreams about every single night. God damn, another freaking mosquito came. And this mosquito's pretty good. The question that every Uber driver is thinking about: does Uber adjust our tips down, or do they actually steal them? This is not a conspiracy, because I've been tracking this for the last year, and 100% I can tell you they do steal our tips. They do bring them down. It is very difficult to prove this, because no matter how many times I record my screen and have conversations with passengers, it's just very difficult to prove it, because you need the screenshot from the passenger, you need your screenshot, and then you got to wait 3 weeks, because sometimes 3 weeks later tips pop up. I'll give you one example. In New York, less than a year ago, around $328 million Uber and Lyft were fined for stealing drivers' tips and earnings. Right now, Rideshare United, hopefully I'm saying their name correctly, or I'll put it on the screen, they sent me a message. Over $1.3 billion settlement is happening in California for lost wages and theft. My friends, these guys steal our tips. It's your job to record it and figure it out and let me know in the comments. And it's my job to make the video and let the passenger and let the media and let the masses know. Over time, God will balance this out. Our job is to educate each other and just catch them a couple of times. That's it. Once you catch them a couple of times, millions and billions of dollars are going to be given to the drivers. The New York Attorney General, Letitia James, secured this landmark settlement because the company's policies withheld hard-earned pay from drivers. If you want to read this article, it is linked for you in the description. I highly recommend it, because you need to be aware of this. If they've been caught once with stealing our tips, they'll get caught second and a third time. Most of the drivers in our community, we catch them all the time. Now, one thing I've learned that I'll let you guys know is there's a certain time it's guaranteed to get a tip from a passenger. Normally, this happens, let's say the ride is for $40, right? Uber took $20 in commercial auto insurance, Uber took $20 in service fee, and you got $40. Most likely you got $30, right? But my point is this: when the commercial auto insurance and the Uber service fee is equal, or the commercial auto insurance is $20 and Uber service fee is $40, like double the commercial auto insurance, 99% of the time, that tip actually shows up in my app. But once in a while, it doesn't. But right around Prop 22, it's just so weird. There's a pattern to it, right? Most of the time when the numbers are like for example, if you make $40 and Uber's commercial auto insurance is, let's say, $35 and Uber's service fee is $5, because the service fee is so low, the chances of you getting a tip on that is very rare. It happens once in a while. But pay attention to this. Look at your receipts and remember the conversation that you have with your passengers. There's times when you know you did the customer service, you had a good conversation, and the numbers on the receipt, the pattern shows that there should be a tip and it doesn't show up. Those are the ones that they're stealing from you, or they're hanging on, or they're holding them and dangling them back to you as a surge or as a bonus or a quest. It's some nasty games Uber plays. I'll give you another example. I'm driving a lot less Uber now because my YouTube channel is doing good, my online course is doing good, and my private rides are doing good. Like, I'm making more money on these 3 other hustles than I'm driving with Uber. But when I used to drive Uber full time, I used to make easily $300 a week in tips. But about 6 months ago, I noticed that my tips went down. I was putting in the same 80, 90 hours. I was doing everything the way I normally do, but my tips dropped down to $150 to $200 a week. From $300 down to $200, then down to $150, and they just keep going lower and lower and lower. But I haven't changed anything with the amount of hours I was driving or the kind of customer service that I was doing. How is it that half my tips are just disappearing, right? Again, this is hard to prove, but I'm just letting you know I pay attention to stuff like this, and I encourage you to also. And I also kind of briefly said this in another video. There's so many times that I'm converting the passengers, I'm making them my own, and in the Uber app on that ride, there was no tip. But when I take them on a private ride and I drop them off, they're giving me 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, right? This happens over and over and over. How's that possible? Let me ask you, how's that possible? You take the same passenger in Uber where it's $100 fare and you're getting $40, right? Uber's keeping $60, right? Then you take them as a private ride, you charge them 90 bucks, and they end up giving you $20 tip and you ended up making $110. Look, the people don't lie. The ones that are going to tip you are going to tip you. Catch Uber, convert passengers, make them your own, keep 100% of the fare. This is the smartest thing you can do as a driver. I started doing that over 8-9 months ago. Now I don't even have to drive Uber. I literally drive Uber just a little bit a day, right? I'll drive Uber maybe 4 or 5 hours a day so I can get out of the house. I get tired of working on the YouTube video and responding to comments and editing. So I get out so I can, convert some more passengers. My online course is called Start Your Own Rideshare Business. The link is in the description. Click on it, read the landing page, read about some of the testimonials, read about what the course is about. It'll teach you from A to Z how to make a business card, how to make a website, how to talk to customers. And so far, I've made around 22 videos. There's another 28 videos to go so I can complete the course, which I plan on finishing by the end of this year. Houston, we have a little problem. This video got way too long. It was 50 minutes long. And I know a lot of you are not gonna watch it for 50 minutes. It's just too much information. So I chopped it right after the first 5 tips. The bonus tips, the second half of the video, will be linked at the end of this video when it is available, which will be within a week, I promise. My apologies.